Keep the pressure on. I think victory is just around the corner. The big news, of course, over the past several days has been that Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch has gotten rid of 2 marketing executives, placing them on leave. Now, many are simply saying, my friends, as soon as this all blows over, they're coming back. I'm not so sure. I wonder how much money they've lost. I wonder what their shareholders think. From the Daily Mail, Bud Light's hangover gets worse. Rivals Coors Light and Miller Lite sales spike 18% in the wake of Dylan Mulvaney debacle as flagship brand suffers a 17% dip. And industry insiders call crisis an extremely difficult scenario. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We got insiders coming out right now saying, yo, this is bad. For the love of all that is holy, Budweiser, just apologize. Cowards. You deserve all of this. No one should buy your beer because you're cowards. Overwhelming market share is among the... You are losing this. What don't you get? Look how much you're dropping. 17% dip. Is that worth it? Do you think the other side is buying your beer to such a degree? Well, you know what? Fine. You deserve it. I'm getting to the point where... I want to say 2 things. If you guys really want to put the pressure on, here's what I suggest. Find out who takes PAC dollars from Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch, call them up and tell them to push the boycott. Anheuser-Busch has been supporting Republicans. Good. Get those Republicans on the record. Do they support Anheuser-Busch? That's what I think y'all should do. And the other thing is, this one's obvious. Don't buy Anheuser-Busch products. But here's what I want to say. I'm getting to the point where I don't care if they apologize. I'll say this. If by the end of the week, Budweiser doesn't just come out and say, we are sorry for sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney, just say that. Just say that one sentence. If they don't do that, I'm done. To be fair, to be a reasonable, I don't drink their garbage beer. I had an apple cider a couple of weeks ago. I had some sake in the past week. I typically don't drink, but I always say this a little bit sometimes. I had a Yingling like 7 months ago. I'm not going to drink Bud Light. I'm not going to buy Bud Light for my company. I'm not going to buy it for corporate events. I'm not going to buy it for special events. When we did our show in Austin, we pulled Anheuser-Busch products. That was us. And if they come out this week and they say, look, we're really sorry about this. Can we just move on? We won't do it again. I'll be like, yes, thank you for apologizing. Thank you for finally owning up. Let's move on. But they're not doing it. They're just being squeezed. And it's kind of crazy to me that Budweiser hates you so much that they would remove 2 staff members, that they would suffer a near 20% drop and probably worse because this is last week's sales data, before they would ever apologize for spitting in your face. How remarkable. Take a look at the data. We got there. Look at this. Between April 2nd and April 15th, overall volume of sales of Bud Lighted bars dropped 34.7%. They would rather see that drop than tell you, I'm sorry. They would rather lose 1/3 of sales than tell you they're sorry. It's amazing. It's amazing because I remember that leftists, when the boycott first started, said it's not so much that you're boycotting them, but that they disregard you as customers. And they all laughed. But they're right. Anheuser-Busch hates your guts. They hate you. They absolutely hate you. That's the only thing I can see from this. I'm sorry. I saw the news. We talked about it last night, but I got really pissed off because I'm like, 34.7% drop in the first week of the boycott, and you would not just say sorry. That's how much you hate your customers. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, Coors and Miller Lite are seeing a major bump, and I'm sure they're laughing all the way to the bank. Now, for the most part, I'm sure Coors and Miller are like, keep your head down. Just take it. Just take the win. Amazing. Bud Light has suffered another blow in the fallout from its Dylan Mulvaney partnership as its rivals' sales have spiked. Take a look at that. Oh, you love to see it. At this point, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, I hope it drops more. Because I'm done. I'm sick of it. We're sitting here. We're saying, just apologize. We're not asking for the world. We're just asking you to come out and be like, we're really sorry for sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney. We did not realize this individual was so divisive. We do not want to be involved in that conversation. I'd be like, okay, I accept it. Thank you very much. But they're worried about Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg came out and said, don't fear them, fear us. And Budweiser went, oh, geez, who should we be more afraid of? Our actual customers or the people who are whining on TV? Fine, whatever, man. You do what you want to do, Anheuser-Busch. I don't care. Because I'll tell you this. Coors Light, Miller Lite. Look at that. Big bump on April 8th. That's about a day after the boycott started. It's like a couple days. Bud Light drops by 6%. Then you get Coors Light and Miller Lite. Look at that. How interesting. Jumping by almost the exact number. Bud Light sales drop. Coors and Miller Lite sales both go up. And what do they go up by? 3.5 and 3.1. So we're looking at about 6.6%. You know what makes sense to me? That when, let's just say 6 people stop buying Bud Light, they then go to the store and about 5 of them buy Coors or Miller and one of them buys both. And that's what we're looking at. Now, granted, the scale is actually much bigger than that, but look at that. By April 15th, sales were down negative 17%, and Coors and Miller were up 10.6 and 11.5. That's what I'm saying. Now, here's the best part. By April, what is this? I can't see the date. April 22nd, we can see that Bud Light's down 6.7 and Coors and Miller are up 18% each. Now, hold on there a minute. I explained this before. Many of you are probably saying, hey, look, the boycott's weakening. It's only down. No. Nope, it's actually getting worse. Let me explain. If 100 people buy a beer and 6% stop, you now have 94%. If 17% of that 94 then take a big drop off, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the 17 out of 94 in my head fast enough for this segment. The point is, we're now looking at around 77 or so people buying the beer. Maybe 80. Let's just do the numbers straight up. 77, I mean, it's probably 78, 79. So here's what happens. If 20% of people stop buying your beer, in the first week, you will see a 20% reduction in sales. If next week they still don't buy your beer, you will see a 0% reduction in sales because 80% are still buying. Get it? Which means this is entirely predictable. The biggest drop-off happened the week after the boycott started. And now the boycott is actually still ongoing, but because y'all have stopped buying their beer, you don't register in the drop-off anymore. Get it? So Bud Light's sales are getting worse. Despite the fact it says 6.7% down, there's a market cap. And I wonder if Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch is thinking to themselves, I think they're wondering, like, how far can we go down? I think they're probably hoping that they only shave off maybe 30%. Man, that's a big drop off. I tell you what, a big drop off. 17%, then 6.7. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but their rivals are also growing. So I'm curious. I think that Bud Light, they would rather see you leave. I wonder if what they're actually thinking right now is like, okay, we pissed everybody off. Let's see who we lose and who we keep. They don't care about you. In fact, they most likely despise you. And how much do you want to bet the CEO doesn't even drink beer? I would be willing to bet the guy who runs this does not drink. Drinking's bad for you, yo. I understand people enjoy it, but it really does mess you up. I love seeing these tweets where people are like, you ever notice that back in the 80s and 90s, people in their 30s looked a lot older? Yeah, what's up with that? You know, nowadays people are like, you look so young. I think it's because back then they smoked and they drank booze a lot. And the millennial generation doesn't. And Gen Zers, not so much. So there is still a lot of drinking, don't get me wrong. But I think it was a combination of smoking, drinking, and leaded gasoline. And that aged people and their skin, and they looked a lot older. And now, you know, I mean, think about like Jason Alexander, right? George Costanza on Seinfeld. He was like, What was he in? He was like 30 years old or something when that show started. And Jerry Seinfeld, I think, was in his late 20s. And we look at them and we're like, really? They look like they were 40 compared to where we are now. I don't know. Don't ask me. I think drinking probably played a role. Here's the other news as it pertains to all of this. Dylan Mulvaney still has not posted anything. But what I find fascinating in all of this is that Dylan Mulvaney is actually still getting some flack from the left. That's probably why Dylan Mulvaney stopped posting, not because of the right. Here's the last post Dylan Mulvaney made, April 7th. I want to make sure y'all hear this. This is important. Don't forget that we're all humans, man. Dylan Mulvaney needs someone who cares about him to come and stop him and pull him back from the brink. I say it in every video. I know you guys hear it, but Dylan Mulvaney's not trans. Sorry. Just based on every standard definition medically, there are trans YouTubers who have come out and said Dylan Mulvaney does not exhibit any of the actual trans behaviors, does not appear to be taking estrogen, and actually celebrates his own male body parts completely what's the word I'm thinking of? Completely acting in the opposite as to what trans people typically would be willing to do publicly, leading these other YouTubers to say that Dylan Mulvaney is not really trans. And I think that makes sense. Dylan Mulvaney's trying to get clicks. What ends up happening is you get a tweet like this: I stopped supporting you after the ads. You shouldn't be taking women's spots when you have never experienced women pain. There's someone who liked Dylan. And there's a bunch of comments from people who are seemingly on the left saying things like, you're now taking ad campaigns away from women. We supported you, but this is what you've done. I think that may be what's really getting to Dylan. So I hope there are people who are working with Dylan, family or friends, who care about this person, who are there for them. You know, we talk about people who got snatched up by the algorithms and started producing unhinged content. There are people who were conservative, became liberal, rarely, but a couple of them, I'm not going to name them. There are people who are liberal who became conservative, and they're accused of grifting. Dylan Mulvaney is a grifter. Dylan Mulvaney is king grifter. You are not, I'm sorry. I don't believe that Dylan Mulvaney is transgender. Dylan Mulvaney made a video singing about having male parts and that it's okay and to look at it. And I'm just like, that doesn't seem like gender dysphoria, and especially doesn't seem like autogynephilia. And then the inverse, of course, for those that aren't familiar, autoandrophilia. It doesn't seem like that. Because in every circumstance, a person who is gender dysphoric or who is AAP, AGP doesn't sing about and celebrate their actual body parts. No, what Dylan is doing is just whatever seems to get clicks. And it's starting to piss off everyone, even people on the left. I think TikTok should ban Dylan Mulvaney. I think TikTok should say, look, this is clearly unhealthy and we're concerned about you. We want you to be happy. And this is just making your life more stressful and worse. And I think Dylan, if Dylan had anybody who cared about them, would be saying, you need to stop. It's time to come home. It's time to stop doing this. It's destructive. But you know what? The machine just exploits. YouTube just exploits. YouTube takes down videos that are critical of Dylan Mulvaney. It's been going on for the past couple of weeks because YouTube wants the money. So YouTube is unwilling to actually allow conversations that would seek to help this person because it doesn't make them money. That's the horrifying reality of where we're at. You know, you got this story from Page 6. Fans defend Dylan Mulvaney's Maybelline ad amid boycott calls. Nothing but bigots. Leftist and liberal women are now apparently also angry with Dylan Mulvaney because prominent women are losing out on makeup commercials and Nike ads. Oh boy. You know, it's funny because when it comes to men competing in women's sports, you see a lot of this stuff. Females are pissed off. But here's the thing. These women weren't political until it happened to them. We didn't hear a whole lot from these female athletes until they lost. In fact, some of them still won't speak up, even though I know, because behind the scenes, I hear what's being said. They're like, I don't want to be political. It's like, yo, you just had your career taken from you. You know, women are more agreeable, I guess. They'll let it happen. But now, Dylan Mulvaney is doing makeup commercials. Dylan Mulvaney is doing sportswear for women. And women are losing these jobs. That's got to be frustrating. You know, you have this women's empowerment thing about women going and getting jobs and being able to take care of themselves and being independent. But now there is a biological male who is, according to many transgender YouTubers, not even trans, or at least doesn't exhibit it, appears to still have facial hair and it's not getting anything to change that, nor do they appear to be on estrogen, despite saying on 2 different occasions they had just started, which is weird, contradicts himself. But now you have females who are like, I could be doing that makeup stuff, and it's Dylan Mulvaney. Now, look, I get it. There's a bunch of men, like, and I'm not talking about trans people, I'm talking about actual men who do makeup channels. And YouTube's been very much supporting makeup for men. I'll tell you why this is. It's really obvious. Look, if I sell makeup and I got 100 women buying the product and 0 men, I'm like, I could double my profits if I can convince men to wear makeup. So it works. The only problem is it works for only so long. When you get guys marketing your makeup saying guys can wear makeup, then you get a bunch of dudes wearing makeup. You make more money. But then when you hire someone like Dylan, who says not only can they wear makeup, be sponsored by the makeup company, but they're actually a woman, now you've just got nothing but males doing the marketing. Women being pushed out. This is very much, in my opinion, like what's happening with women's sports. We're going to see this across the board. More males will push women out of their fields. Teachers, going to be male. Nurses, going to be male. Going to keep happening. And it's going to be males who tell everyone they're actually women. And then there's not going to be any female women in the industry. So what are they going to do for money? I'm really interested to see where all this goes, to be completely honest, because I don't know for sure. I can only tell you this. I think people are reaching a breaking point. I think the beer stuff plays a big role in this. I think that the reason I don't think conservatives have the ability to get Dylan to stop posting. Now, I think the left will try and blame the right, saying, you attacked Dylan Mulvaney, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, do I stop making content when the left comes after me? No. Does Matt Walsh? No. Does Ben Shapiro? No. Does Cenk Uygur stop making content when the right criticizes him? No. However, there is something to be said when your own side attacks you. You actually see people break down, back down, and stop. Because now they're actually at risk. Now it's actually stressful. Now everybody hates you. So let me put it this way. Dylan Mulvaney is probably going through a stressful time with a lot of people on the right saying, we do not like you. Please stop. And you can ignore that because you have support. You have people on the left saying, no, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing. But what happens when the left then says, no, we also don't like you? Uh-oh. Everybody hates you? Oh, well, now you got to rethink what you're doing. I love that meme where they say like over target, or if both sides are mad at you, you must be doing something right. It's like, not always, man. Not always. So when Dylan Mulvaney is getting flack from both sides and stops posting, I'm not surprised. Genuinely not surprised. Where's the left rushing to the defense of Dylan Mulvaney? A little bit, not really. They don't care. Bud Light is reeling from a boycott and the left does not care. They don't care about Bud Light beer or Dylan Mulvaney. That's why Bud Light's only option right now is to apologize. But they're such pathetic, spineless cowards. They won't do it. They're scared. It's too hard. Aw, you worry Antifa's not going to buy your beer. They don't buy your beer anyway, dude. Not only do they not have money, but they don't care about you. They want to wear your institution like a skin suit. They want to win that battle. But I got to be honest. I think they know they can't. And that's why the left has not come out more strongly in favor of Anheuser-Busch. You're not going to win beer. Bud Light has effectively turned their product into a symbol of being effeminate. Do you think a 38 to 45 to 65-year-old dude who typically will be at a barbecue and crack a Bud Light, do you think they want to be perceived as weak and effeminate? No, they don't. Being around their guy buddies and being like, toss me a Bud Light. And they're going to be like, why? Are you gay? No. Family Guy made a joke about it. They had everybody in Congress, and I can't remember who they were making fun of, but they were like, or I think it was Stewie was making a joke. He was convincing everyone to go to war in Iraq. And he's like, let's just keep one thing clear. Those who don't want to go to war in Iraq are gay. And then all the Congress people are like, I want to go to a war. I was the first person that wanted to go to war. There's nothing wrong with being gay, in my opinion. You live your life, you do your thing, you love who you love. My point is, there are a lot of guys who do not want to be called gay. So why would they want to drink a beer that has become a symbol of being trans and effeminate? They wouldn't. They'd be like, throw me a Miller. There's no brand loyalty on garbage beer that people drink for the sake of getting drunk. There's a bunch of options. Now, here's what I think, too. I think this is a Bud Light is seeing a sales drop, but what about their other Anheuser-Busch brands? I'm not so sure the other brands are suffering as much. Probably a little bit, but I'm sure a bunch of people just went, don't get Bud Light. I'll drink Michelob or Modelo or something. I wouldn't be surprised if they're all basically the same beer, to be completely honest. But I never liked Bud Light. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just it's watery garbage, I guess. I like Modelo. Granted, it's all relatively similar. It's like when someone comes and says, do you like Coke or Pepsi more? And it's like, well, to be honest, I kind of like Coke from Mexico better, but I don't want to drink either of them because they're bad for you. So look, man, I hope people who care about Dylan are taking care of him and helping him get through this, because someone needs to tell him to stop. It's not worth it, man. Dylan needs an intervention. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.